Can you head over and check in a bearer report? The system has it as lower North Water, but the address is don't have a last name on the cell phone regarding a friend that was assaulted and battered when he walked out of his apartment. He's supposed to be well-known, requesting a report. Instead, the noose was placed over the friend's neck. EMS is refused and said the apartment's next to the Lowe's Hotel. But once again, just be advised, that address in the system is at lower water, but it's at the apartment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to NeoUnrealist. What you just heard was the Chicago Police Department dispatch call for the Jussie Smollett incident from yesterday, January 29th, 2019. Now, early on Tuesday morning, a man named Jussie Smollett claims he was attacked around 2 a.m. on the 300 block of East North Water Street. Now, for those of you who didn't hear about this incident yesterday, as it went viral across the internet, and you're not into pop culture, Jussie Smollett, he's an actor. Nobody you're likely to know unless you're an avid watcher of the Fox television show Empire. I think he was in the movie Alien Covenant too. He had a minor part there. But on Empire, he plays the role of Jamal Lyon. This role, Jamal Lyon, he's the gay middle son of the male lead of the series, a guy named Lucius, who's played by the actor Terrence Howard. I like most of the stuff he's in. The show chronicles the trials, tribulations, triumphs, and setbacks of the fictional Lyon family and their hip-hop music label Empire. Now, much like The Sopranos, the male lead of the show and patriarch of the Lyon family, Lucius, he's something of an anti-hero. He's a former drug dealer who got into the music business. He's a larger-than-life figure. You're supposed to sympathize with him. And Jamal's story arc is that it's his personal struggle to gain his father's approval as a gay musician. So now some of you might be saying to yourselves at this point, "Hey, Neo, some minor celebrity got jumped in Chicago. How is this national news?" Well, as it happens, Jussie Smollett, he's a mixed-race man of African-American descent on his mother's side, Russian, Polish, Jewish descent on his father's side, and just like the role he's most known for, he also happens to be gay in his personal life. So we have the trifecta of social justice identity Olympics going on in his favor. He's black, he's Jewish, and gay. Combined with his status as an actor/singer, that meant this was going to be picked up regardless. First, though, and what's unusual about this is the nature of the alleged attack. Now, Jussie Smollett, he told the police who responded to his friend's apartment, remember, he doesn't live in Chicago. He was in town to film episodes of Empire. That's where they filmed the show. That two men shouted racial and homophobic slurs at him. Basically, they called him a faggot. They dropped the N-bomb on him. He says that the two men, and it's also important to note that he says they recognized him from the show. So he says that the two men, they hit him in the face. Well, I shouldn't even say men, because let me be more specific. The two people hit him in the face, poured a substance on him, which he speculated is bleach, and put a rope around his neck. Now, the Chicago police spokesman, Anthony Guglielmi, he told the Chicago Sun-Times that the call to the police came from Smollett's manager at 2:42 a.m., about 40 minutes after the attack. When police officers arrived at the friend's apartment, they found a rope around Smollett's neck, which Guglielmi described as a thin, light rope, not necessarily resembling a noose. I've seen it said in another report by a local Chicago news station that it appeared to be like a clothesline fresh out of a bag, according to a source familiar with the investigation. Now, Smollett, he asked the police officers to turn off their body cameras while interviewing him about the alleged incident. Now, to be fair to Jussie Smollett, this may sound suspicious. It does seem a little suspicious to me. But it's pretty common for crime victims to ask not to be filmed or to have their private spaces recorded on video. So it's neither here nor there. We can't make anything of that. The police say that they took Smollett's report and told him, hey, you should go to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, get checked out to have some, what the Chicago Sun-Times says was some cuts on his face and neck treated, some lacerations. So Smollett's manager took him to the hospital where he was apparently treated and shortly thereafter released. The Chicago Police Department said that in an initial report, Smollett told police the two people who he claims attacked him were wearing ski masks and all black clothing, their faces and hands covered, and thus he could not identify the race or gender of the alleged perpetrators. Now, later in the day, when reports by TMZ and ThatGrapeJuice.net came out and went viral, saying that the alleged attackers were both white and screamed, "This is MAGA country," after the attack, since those details did not come up in his interview with the police, Chicago police detectives went back to Jussie Smollett later in the day and questioned him for a second time. Smollett told detectives in this follow-up interview that the alleged attackers also yelled, "This is MAGA country," after the attack. But the police spokesman emphasized, though Smollett provided no further description of the alleged attackers, including their race. Because remember, according to his version of the story, they're in ski masks, gloves. It was minus 12 degrees that night. The Chicago Police Department says that although they found video of Jussie Smollett alone in the Subway sandwich shop, which is where he claims he was going at 2 a.m. when he left his friend's apartment, they have video of him in the sandwich shop. Key thing here, he's alone. They also have video of Jussie Smollett alone at the location he says he was attacked at. Now, after canvassing the entire neighborhood, they have not found a single video showing the attack or the attackers alleged. Now, either not at the location or not even in the surrounding areas. No witnesses to the attack. No potential vehicle. Furthermore, the police spokesman, Guglielmi, he also said that the police don't even have enough information on the alleged attackers to even put out a description of them. I mean, think about it. Based on the only information we have from the only witness, all we have to go on is that he couldn't tell if they were men or women. He couldn't tell what race they are. Because, how would that go? Yeah, calling all cars, be on the lookout for two people of indeterminate sex and race wearing ski masks, gloves, and black winter coats. One further problem with that aforementioned description, I think I mentioned before, is that right now Chicago is sitting under the mother of all polar vortexes. I think it's covered in heaps of snow, and on the night in question, I believe I've seen reports where the temperature was 12 degrees below zero, with a wind chill of 60 degrees below zero. Anyone who is outside for any significant length of time, not wearing ski masks, gloves, and winter outerwear, would be checked into the local hospital for getting frostbite. Now, to stir the pot further, TheGrapeJuice.net reported that Smollett received a threatening note on January 22nd, and here it is. Note in the upper left-hand corner of the envelope, the return address says MAGA, written in a cartoonishly childish block script with what I would guess was a red marker. It was sent to the Fox studio where Empire is filmed. And the letter inside has a crude threat issued with letters cut out from various magazines that say, "You will die, black fag." Now, on the right-hand side of the note, you can make out what appears to be a crudely drawn, again, with the same kind of red marker used on the envelope, a crude stick figure drawing of a man being hung from what my best guess is a tree and shot with a pistol. The only other thing that I would note is that the letter is postmarked and has 2 stamps on it. It went through the mail, and a report I saw said that the note was covered in a white powdery substance. All right, up to this point, I tried to relay, just the facts, all the facts that bear on this incident. From here on out, I want to state that I'm giving mostly opinion here and only speaking for myself. I'm skeptical about this story, to be perfectly blunt. First, where are the injuries? Smollett claims he got into a serious altercation with 2 men where he fought them off. He didn't require an ambulance, which, okay, fine. That wouldn't be necessary after most fights. So look at the picture. If he was hit in the face, beaten, where are his injuries? Where's the swelling? This was taken, hours after the alleged attack, and all I can make out is the tiniest little scratch on his right cheek, which apparently wasn't even serious enough for the doctors to bandage. No black eyes, no swollen nose, no cut lips. These men beat him badly enough where they had him completely subdued. They were able to have their way with him, if we were to believe him, that they poured bleach on him and placed a thin clothesline like rope around his neck. Still, if it was just that, I might still be inclined to believe him. Not all assaults result in those type of injuries, even if it's unusual. But a cursory examination of Jussie Smollett's Twitter feed, this is where it starts. It starts to compound, because it reveals him to be a very outspoken political activist with a burning hatred of President Trump and his supporters. This is an example of just how much hatred Jussie Smollett harbors toward the president, to the point where he uses racist and misogynist language in a tweet. Now, funny how this wasn't flagged by Twitter's so-called trust and safety people, but I digress. This video isn't about Twitter's two-tiered system of moderation. The point is to show the depths of Smollett's bizarre political beliefs. Now, on January 19th, just 3 days before the alleged threatening note arrived at the Fox studio in Chicago, Jussie Smollett posted the following tweet about depression. Depression is a real thing, y'all. You're not crazy. Maybe just a little wounded. But we can't get comfortable in that space. Let's keep digging, alright? Cool. Note the wording of this tweet. We can't get comfortable in that space. Let's keep digging. Jussie Smollett is speaking about himself, it seems to me. Is Jussie Smollett suffering from depression? Obviously, I can't make that determination, as I'm not a mental health professional, and even if I were, I haven't even met the person, let alone examined him. Still, this is someone, from what I can tell, is self-reporting himself as being in depression. You have to take that very seriously. It's like when somebody, talks about suicide. You may not be a mental health professional, but you should probably tell someone. But anyway, he's self-report. If what I'm thinking is correct, he's self-reporting depression. Whatever. 3 days later, after that tweet, a comedically crude, threatening note arrives at the Chicago Fox studio. Does this really look like the work of a serious person? We're expected to believe that the attack is some premeditated plot. Okay, fine, let's go with that. One problem. Jussie Smollett doesn't live in Chicago. He lives in New York and flies into Chicago to film the episodes of the show. On this occasion, it appears he was staying at a friend's apartment. How would two rando attackers, who sent the dumbest mail threat I've ever seen, know where Jussie Smollett was going to be on Tuesday morning at 2 a.m.? His flight from New York was late. He landed near midnight. Sometime after midnight, he arrives at his friend's apartment and decides to leave again to buy food at a Subway sandwich shop down the street at 2 a.m. So presumably he's in Chicago for basically only had been there for a 2+ hour window. Remember, the attack happened at roughly 2 a.m. He went from the airport to his friend's apartment, to the Subway sandwich shop, then walked back to his friend's apartment. How the hell would he have known where to find these guys, where he's going to be at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday when he's staying at a friend's house in another city from where he lives during the worst cold snap in Chicago in living memory? The police have video of Smollett at the Subway sandwich shop, alone. The police have video of Smollett at the site of the alleged attack, alone. The friend's apartment where the alleged attack occurred, outside of, is in a secure building where the front entrance is across the street from a major hotel's main entrance, the Sheraton Grand Hotel. So despite being outside a security building in a neighborhood where the condos can cost as much as $4 million, and across the way from the main entrance to a major hotel, no one saw or heard an altercation at 2 a.m. involving 3 participants, at least 2 of whom were said to be screaming. The police, in spite of an exhaustive search of all the video and security cameras in the area, which, remember, the cameras captured Smollett at the locations he describes, but no one else. What was he, assaulted by ghosts at 2 a.m. in 12-degree below zero weather, who had perfect intelligence, that he would be in Chicago that night, staying at a friend's apartment, and that he'd be walking around in the wee hours of the morning to get a sandwich? It just strains credulity. My thought, at best, maybe this guy was assaulted by two run-of-the-mill thugs and just made all this drama up. Worst case scenario, he's just full of crap entirely. Now, I just have a hard time thinking that two white supremacists or homophobes went to all this trouble, sent this ridiculous note, pinpointed where this minor celebrity, who most people wouldn't know of unless they happened to watch the show Empire, which last time I checked probably wasn't high on the DVR priority list for white supremacists and homophobes. I don't think they'd be the target demographic for a show about a black hip-hop music business family. But somehow these perps knew to be outside this friend's apartment at 2 a.m. in Arctic weather conditions that has the city issuing warnings to people to not even go outside unless absolutely necessary. They're walking around carrying bleach and a clothesline. They do all this. They go to all that trouble. And all they do to the guy once they've got him in their power is slap him in the face, pour some liquid on him, which doesn't appear to do any damage, and drape a rope around his neck, which was not even made into a noose, and leaves not even a mark on his neck, not even a rope burn, let alone any bruising to indicate asphyxiation. So these hateful bigots, they went to all that trouble, which will result in years of jail time and their lives basically being over if and when they're caught in a city chock full of video cameras at a time when very few people are on the street and it'd be easy to pick them out. And all they do to the guy is just leave him with a scratch on his cheek. It's going to take a little more than what I've seen so far to convince me that Jussie Smollett was the victim of a racial or homophobic hate crime by Trump supporters. I urge the Chicago Police Department and FBI to fully investigate this, and if they find these mysterious, elusive mastermind criminals, nail them to the wall, lock them up, throw away the key. I'm sure they'd be very popular with the inmate population in the Illinois correctional system. But until further notice, Color Me is not entirely convinced that everything is as it was reported. The only way this story gets any worse is if it's reported that one of the alleged attackers aggressively smirked at Smollett and people start asking if Nicholas Salmon and his friends have alibis. That's all for this NeoUnrealist. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you want to go above and beyond supporting the channel, Patreon is still an option, but I'm considering opening a presence on Subscribestar, as at this point, a lot of you have just asked if I have a Subscribestar account, so if and when that happens, I'll make it known. There's still PayPal and the tip pledge button on BitChute if you're watching this on there, but most of all, while it's one thing to be skeptical, try not to be hateful in your criticism of this story. Poke holes, question the narrative, sure. Try to refrain from name-calling. It only detracts from the simple fact that there just seem to be significant inconsistencies with this story. Thanks for watching.